What is going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to everybody. For all of you who have just subscribed, it is your boy Javi Vibes. We are building this beautiful 95 RS Integra. Not so beautiful yet, but it will be. You know how your boy does the builds. In today's video, as you guys can see by the title, I'm going to be showing you guys the motor that I have for the vehicle. It is the motor that came with the car, and some of the process that I've done to the car yet, where it stands right now. I really haven't worked on the car for like about 3 days, just because I've been working way too much. But I do plan on going hard this weekend. I'm grinding pretty hard this weekend and getting a lot of stuff done, because I do have a lot of stuff to get done. On Friday, I'm going to be recording a video. Leave a comment. What do you guys think? It's kind of like a $100 challenge at Harbor Freight, picking up tools for the car and seeing how many tools I could get at Harbor Freight for $100 that I could work on the Integra. But let's jump into the motor. Actually, let's jump into showing you guys the progress of the car and how it's been and how it's going. And then I'll show you guys the motor, and we can talk a little bit about the motor. Let's go. All right, guys. So as you guys can see, there hasn't been much done here. We were able to remove the pieces of metal that were right here. As you guys can see, the rust there. And it did obviously get a little bit on the frame rail, but that's not no big deal. I do have the wire brush, as we spoke a lot on previous videos, where this weekend I'm going to be tackling that a lot. There's a little bit of surface rust up there, but it's no big deal. I spoke to the mechanic, the body shop guy, and I asked him, I showed him pictures of this stuff, and he said that it's no big deal, that we should be able to tackle that with no problem. But other than that, the engine really hasn't seen much. I did hit a little bit here, and I did hit it with some of that rust preventive rust, as you guys can see in the previous video. And I have to clean all this stuff up. I want to have to this weekend start routing the wires through there and the wires through there, but just kind of move everything out the way. But yeah, this is the rust right here. This is a little bit of it. There's not much. There's a little bit here, as you guys can see, but I believe that is just obviously also surface rust that we just have to take out. That's not no big deal. So pretty much back here, it is a mess. On the interior side, we were able to take out the seats, the door panels. I started removing the door panels, but as you guys can see, there's tons and tons of wiring. I've covered this in the previous videos, but you guys can see that the interior is pretty much removed. I need to take out the carpet. I'm gonna start doing the dry ice to remove the sound thing on the bottom. I completely forgot the name of sound deadener on the bottom with the dry ice. And other than that, I really love the interior. I really love the dash, how clean it is. Just a full black dash. Looks amazing. We're gonna take out this rug. We're gonna be throwing this rug away. So there's a lot of screws and stuff like that I still have to pick up from the floor of the car. Like that right there, that was for the clutch. And I have to remove those wires. I believe obviously there might have been a sub here. But if you can see the panels, they're not in bad shape. The panels are in pretty good shape. Everything is still here, OEM, how it was before. But other than that, that's what's going on with the interior. I have to take out the back seats and just completely gut out the interior and get it ready for the Pro 15 and doing the sound, removing the sound thing with the ice, the dry ice. That's about it. Let's jump into the motor right quick. All right, guys, so before I show you the motor, I wanted to cover a little bit of something, because there's been a few comments and there's been a few things said about the car and the way that the build is going. The build is going to be an OEM plus build. This car is getting a complete refresh, nut to bolt to everything OEM. I'm going to do my best job that I can on this build. Now, I could have easily dropped in the B20, refreshing the motor a little bit and taken off, but I was not going to do that. Having that rust right there, I was not going to do that. Having the interior that it was, the car is not in bad shape. It's really not, in the sense of, like, if you wanted to drop the B20, you could have taken off, and if you wanted to leave that rust there, you probably can, and that's going to keep growing, and that's going to become a way bigger hole, and eventually it's probably going to spread to the frame rail, and that's going to be toasted on the car. But I'm not going to do that. That's why motor's out, which the previous owner took out. Shout out to him, very cool guy. The previous owner took out the motor, kind of did that for me. I mean, he did it for himself as he was doing the build, but that helped out a lot. But this is a complete resto refresh OEM plus build. If you guys go look at Acura, Honda Classic, how they built their Integra Type R, we're kind of gonna do the same thing, obviously in my backyard, not in a dealer scenery, not in a shop scenery, but we're gonna try to do the best to refreshing it completely, nut and bolt, engine bay painted, brand new paint, brand new interior, everything brand new, as close as I can to having a complete restoration. When there's people who do certain builds, there's people who just swap an engine there, put a big turbo, make 500 horsepower, and they're every day at the track running the car, and that's about it. That's respectful. People do what they like. There's people who throw in a $200 paint job from Mako, drop in the motor, put a big turbo, and then everyone does their build however they want and however they foresee in the future driving the car or doing things that I can't. I love to do a restoration. I myself consider that as a builder, I'm a restore. Now, the EK hatch, obviously we couldn't finish it. I got into an accident. The RSX, somebody came along, gave me a great price for it, and it was gone. But I wanted to get into the 90s Hondas. I believe the RSX is a great base. It's a great car, a great bang for your buck, because you do have a 6-speed transmission with a K20. And for the price that they were going for when I picked up mine, I believe that was the best bang for your buck. Is it the best sought after model and like body style? Not so much. It has a fan base, but not as much as an Integra, not as much as an EK hatch or an EK coupe. But yeah, me as myself, I consider myself a person who restores the vehicle, who grabs the car and wants to do every nut and bolt and everything that you can, OEM, moldings and everything, OEM. That's how I want to do things. And that's pretty much how this build is going to get done. That way. But anyways, nonetheless, let's jump into the motor, and I'm gonna show you guys the motor, and we'll talk a little bit about it. All right, guys, so this is the motor. It is a B20, and as you guys can see, it definitely needs a refresh. Now, this is intake manifold has been removed. You guys can see that the gasket obviously has seen better days. This needs to be replaced or taken out. Probably gonna sand it a little bit and probably give it a paint job, but overall, the distributor doesn't look to be brand new, but I believe it wasn't changed not that long ago. All this stuff needs to get done. All these hoses need to get replaced. I am going to be painting the block. I am going to be taking the head to get machined, putting a brand new head gasket on it, putting a brand new valve cover gasket on it, and doing the timing belt. And this is the reason why are some of the things that need to get refreshed. Look at this motor right here. I mean, look at this pulley right here. This is already has surface rust on it. The timing belt definitely has to get done. This, I have to get a brand new one of this. The gears also, that's all OEM, but obviously, as you can see, the motor's probably been sitting for a little bit and it probably hasn't ran. So I believe that doing everything, look at the studs there. I believe that doing everything, refreshing this motor, doing a timing belt, doing a head gasket job, probably, you know, taking the head to get to the machine shop to get poured and polished, and doing everything else, doing a new valve cover, water pump, pretty much refresh this whole engine and just drop it in the motor. Once the engine comes back, once the car comes back, I'm sorry, from the paint job, I believe this is going to be great. Indicator spark plug wires, as you guys can see, everything seems pretty good. I pretty much got the motor out. We bought the motor in the trunk of the car because I just couldn't fit it anywhere else. But as you guys can see, look at some of the screws there, how they're rusted. So we are going to have to get brand new screws for all of that, which is no big deal. This is a P75 head. B20. I don't know what year this is. I'm not too familiar. Jesus, I can't talk. I'm not too familiar with the B20, but the ultimate goal eventually will be to put a B20, put the B20 and a VTEC head on it. Obviously, oil pan gasket definitely leaking there. You guys can see there's also leaking. But this is the engine. It's a little B20, and I love that things are like this. I really believe that this car, it's gonna come out great. I've always had faith on myself and everything I've worked on and all the cars. As you guys can see, the top support, it is in perfect condition. It has never been hit. This is a perfect frame, other than the small little rust that we're obviously tackling. This is a perfect frame to bring it back to life. Then that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm bringing this car back to life. And once again, not everyone has the time to do that. Everyone does the build differently. You guys can see, needs a paint job. And let me show you something. There's also rust here in the back of the car, which is, this is no big deal. I also spoke to the body shop and they told me that's no big deal. If you guys remember, the EK hatch had some rust right here and they did a fantastic job. I couldn't even tell that it wasn't there. I also need to get all these moldings brand new, all this stuff brand new. Door doesn't open, I gotta fix that too. But this is great, like in the sense of like that I love to get in here and fix all that stuff up. The RSX was pretty clean, so there wasn't much other to do than start modding it. And yeah, I also took out the transmission, which I have to clean it up. This is the LS transmission. I do have to take everything out in the sense of like I have to clean all that stuff up. This is full of grease. But we're just kind of setting everything up here because there's not much space. pretty much removed from the car. That's the intake manifold there. These are all the lines that have to get thrown away, and I have to throw this stuff away. This is the B series headers. This right here I gotta keep because I made the mistake in 2012 when I built my EK coupe that I didn't have the shaft, and I had to find it. Obviously that has the shaft cover there for the part of the trunk. Radiator might not or might not put it on. Conditioner's definitely not going on. I have the starter. I have everything pretty much here. The seats are pretty, I don't know if the seats might go on, but everything is pretty much here. I don't know if this was the criminal that did the rust, the battery. Is this a Honda battery? I don't think this is a Honda battery. But anyway, nonetheless, shift linkages, and that's everything here. I have to clean this stuff up, see what I'm gonna keep, see what I'm not gonna keep. The wire harness right there for the full. New headlights are obviously coming in. Again, this is getting a complete restoration. Sorry before I got rudely interrupted. My thoughts are kind of like everywhere. I really haven't slept much in the past 2 days. But anyways, yes, send it off to paint, finish off the interior. I am sending the motor off to get refresh. I'm going to try to do as much as I can here in the motor, but I'm most likely going to send it off to refresh. Going to talk to Sergio about that, or my boy Andy McFly, see which one wants to tackle the motor, send that off to get refresh. And once I get that motor in, have this engine bay prepped and have it in great condition in order to start tackling, restoring the car once again from nut to bolt, head to toe, I mean OEM parts. So I'm sorting out a bunch of good stuff on it. You know, we have to change the steering rack, we have to change pretty much a lot of stuff in the car. A lot of stuff is just OEM and it's just old. Things like that happen. But other than that, that's the engine. What do you guys think? You guys think should I go a VTEC head? What do you guys think? What would you guys like to see on the motor? Would you guys think a VTEC head would be better for it? Would you think keeping it non-VTEC? I know the B20 is kind of like whatever, but ultimately the ultimate goal I believe for this car would be to either do a B18C Type R or SIR or a K-swap. We'll see about that for the future contents, but that's where it sits right now. What do you guys think of the motor? You guys think it needs a refresh or not? I definitely do think it needs a refresh. There's a lot of basic stuff you can get it just to get running, and there's a lot of basic stuff you can just do to drop it in here and just get it running, but we are doing this completely different. I want to do a build completely different. In 2012, I did that with an EK coupe where I restored it completely from head to toe. Obviously, I wasn't into YouTube, so I wasn't creating content and stuff like that. But what do you guys think? Leave your comment below. And that's pretty much the engine, and that's pretty much the process. For this weekend, we are going to be tackling everything on the engine bay. We are leaving this engine bay completely stripped, getting it ready for paint, finishing off the frame rail, sanding everything down with the wire brush, getting it ready for paint, and hopefully maybe Sunday, we're gonna try to do that Saturday, maybe Sunday we'll finish off the interior. There is an alarm there where I gotta now start cutting wires, and I gotta start putting wires back together to the original place where they were. But anyways, thank you guys for sticking around and for following the build and for following the content and supporting the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one, and remember to subscribe and hit the thumbs up.